In today's video, we will be taking a look at another hypothetical 2024 election prediction, but if Joe Biden kept all his campaign promises. Your screen right now does demonstrate how many promises from Joe Biden have been kept, compromised, broken, stalled, or in the works. In Biden's most important 99 promises, according to this website, he has kept 27 of them, compromised 5, broken 1, stalled 31, and 34 are in the works. Now, let's hypothetically say that every one of these 99 promises, which would say 100% of these promises, were actually kept by Joe Biden. What performance would he have in 2024? On your screen right now is the half-filled electoral map between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, as you can see, Trump's at 125 against Joe Biden's 209. So let's get started. Now, I still believe that some of these states, they might be closer, but definitely for Trump, they're still going to go for Donald Trump regardless. And Joe Biden, obviously, he has his likely states because this is essentially the best case scenario for him. Now, let's start off by giving Joe Biden some more likely states. Minnesota will be a likely state. Now, in 2020, along with the state of New Hampshire, he won both of these states by around 7 percentage points, Minnesota by 7.1, and New Hampshire by 7.3. Overall speaking, in pretty much a best case scenario, if he kept all his promises, he would definitely win both of those states. I also do believe that for the state of Maine, he's probably going to get a likely margin as well, because he did that in 2020. Now for Donald Trump, some of his lean states. I still think Iowa and Ohio will go for him, even though these are states that were typically bellwethers just around 10 years ago. Now Trump has been able to swing them very heavily towards Republicans, doing very well in some of the more working class areas. Similarly, in Iowa, doing very well in the rural areas. Even a best case scenario for Joe Biden, I don't see how he could possibly win these states. Now, this is pretty much it for Donald Trump, but Maine 2nd District, I'll give that to him by a lead margin. So that would be pretty much it for Donald Trump. Now for Joe Biden, his likely states, again, I could see Nebraska 2nd going to Joe Biden by a likely margin in this case because he did win that district by 7 points. I also believe that in this scenario, Joe Biden could win the state of Michigan by a likely margin. I don't think that is too surprising. He won the state, after all, in 2020 by almost 3 percentage points. In this case, where he kept all his promises, I definitely do see him actually winning the state of Michigan by 5 points, if not more. Another state he could win by 5 points, if not more, the state of Arizona. Essentially, this state has trended blue by a very substantial amount. If you look at 2020, he really did do very, very well in some of the Phoenix areas. 5 points trend in Maricopa, 5.1 point trend for Democrats in Piedmont, and these are pretty much counties that make up around 80% of the state's population. And really, Democrats are going to do very, very well in a state like Arizona if they can pretty much keep all their promises. Now for some of the tilt states for Donald Trump. I do believe that, first off, I do believe that he will still win the state of Florida. Although this is a very good case for Democrats where Biden does everything he promises, in Florida, it's still very hard to see him actually win. I know the margin was only 3 points from last election, but in 2022, Democrats proved themselves to be pretty electable in the state, and even in this pretty much best case scenario, I still see Democrats losing to Republicans in the state of Florida, thanks to really Trump having that really strong appeal and DeSantis solidifying their Republican base in the state of Florida. Now for some of the lean states for Joe Biden, I don't think it's too surprising, but Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, both of these states are going to be in the lean Democratic column. Now Pennsylvania, he won the state by more than 1 percentage point, so it's easy to see how he could improve in some of these suburban areas and have lower Republican turnout in the rural areas. Well, for the state of Wisconsin, a similar story. He could do pretty much better with some of the working class voters. He can do very well across the state in many Democratic areas. He can overperform his 2020 performance, which won't be that difficult in this scenario. So definitely a lean state for him. Nevada should also be a lean state. I don't think this state will be a likely state, because although he won the state by 2.4 points, if you look at the trends, Clark County trended 1.4 points to the Republicans. Some of these rural areas also trended to the Republicans, so I don't see him actually winning the state by a likely margin in even this pretty much dream scenario. Now for the state of Georgia, if he keeps all his promises, he definitely win the state. I don't think he's going to win by a likely margin, just because of the fact that Democrats, really, I just don't think they can drive out turnout. Again, they can drive out turnout very high, but not high enough to win the Atlanta region by that substantial of a margin for him to actually win the state by more than 5 percentage points. I think for North Carolina, a similar story. He lost the state in 2020, and although in this scenario he'll definitely win the state, I don't think he's going to win by more than 5 percentage points. Democrats, they have a cap in some of these urban areas. They can get the turnout very high, they can get a lot of the Democratic support, but many of the rural areas are simply not going to vote for the Democratic Party. So I still think that Democrats will end up losing some of those regions. Finally, in the state of Texas, I do believe that this state will be very, very close. Biden lost the state by just 5.6 points, which is pretty impressive considering just 8 years ago, back in 2012, Mitt Romney won the state by around 15 points, just under that. So it definitely makes sense that Democrats could win the state, especially considering areas like Austin County, the Dallas suburbs, and the Houston suburbs, as well as some San Antonio suburbs. These are areas where Democrats have a lot of potential. And although Democrats were down by more than 620,000 votes there in 2020, I do believe that they could win this if Joe Biden keeps all his promises. Now, this is a landslide victory. Disclaimer, this is definitely not my prediction. I would never have Democrats at 359. But in this pretty much best case scenario, it is technically possible. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.